rummaging, hoarding, and packing behaviors. One of those that we see an awful lot, and we're even going to look at some of the statistics as to how common this is. This is just a little bit of information about the West Center. More information about us, that we are residential care. We are a licensed nursing home, and all we do is memory care. We are 100 beds, been here for 29 years. We're getting ready to have our 29th anniversary this month, as a matter of fact, 29 years. We have our day program, which is now open here at the West Center, but we'll soon be moving to a new campus across town where we will be able to serve many, many, many more people. Short-term rehab is coming, and we have respite care, and of course our education department. Now let's just start with this. If we could remember this, wouldn't our lives be easier? A person with dementia is not giving you a hard time. A person with dementia is having a hard time. Think about that just a minute. They're doing the best they can with what remains, and they're never giving us a hard time, even though it feels like it sometimes. They're having a hard time. You may need to run that off and put that sign somewhere where you can see it. I've got it right here in my office. And let's look at why that is. Before we jump right into it, let's look at the why, what's happening with that brain. We do tend to use this particular photo over and over again. This is Alzheimer's, but all dementias, we know that that brain is failing. That brain is actually dying. We do use an Alzheimer's photo because we know that Alzheimer's is the most common type or form of dementia. Of all the over 130 different types of dementias, Alzheimer's is the most common type that we see. Can be up to 80% of all dementias. We'll usually use about 70% because statistics say 60 to 80. So about 70% of all dementias is Alzheimer's. But look at that brain. How can we expect the person on the right to act like the person on the left? They can't. They would if they could. That's where we've got to go back to. They're not giving us a hard time. They're having a hard time. Look up here in the frontal part of the brain. That's where reasoning and rational behavior is held. Executive functioning, it goes away. It's not there anymore. You can also see damage to area, well, all over the brain, you can see damage, but especially in the areas where there's language, communication. We're going to talk how that plays into what we're seeing with some of these behaviors that we're talking about today. All behaviors are a form of communication. But when we think of behaviors, Jamie, could you hit mute on everybody, please? I've actually started trying to use the word with students. Instead of using the word behaviors, I've been using the word expressions. What if we use the word expressions instead of behaviors? Behaviors sounds negative, but I guarantee you it's 11:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, and some of you have probably had some behaviors already this morning, maybe driving to work, maybe with your spouse, maybe with your kids. You may have had something we could call a behavior. What if we called them expressions? They are reacting to stimulus, everything that's around them. They're doing the best they can with what they have left. The disease, it's what's taking away their ability to understand. They aren't understanding the environment around them, and they don't know how to express their wants, their needs, or their emotions. And maybe what they were able to do last week, they're not even able to do anymore because that part of their brain is no longer functioning. But maybe tomorrow they will be able to, because there was a connection made. But eventually that connection won't be made because it won't be there. There are some behaviors or expressions that need our attention, and there are some that do not. We, as caregivers and care partners, have to learn what needs our attention and what does not. What needs our reassurance and what needs redirection. And we're going to talk about the top 4 things that we can use to redirect somebody with dementia. But other behaviors, we as caregivers and care partners have to learn. There's some of this that we have to learn, let it go. That can be difficult. But many of you, because I'm seeing lots of names on here that we know, we're far enough along in this disease, or we've worked in the field long enough to know that some of this needs our attention and some of it does not. Because your response or your reaction, there's a difference in a reaction and a response, can make that situation better or worse. One of the things we've been talking about in our support groups recently is sometimes the difference in a reaction and a response is a single breath. Think about that. Just taking that breath. And instead of me reacting, that breath gives me time to respond. So we want to respond. About 80% of the time, a challenging behavior or expression, we caused it. We didn't mean to. We wouldn't have done it on purpose, or the environment triggered it. So think about this. If we are sitting at some place like a Steak and Shake or something like that, and we get some ice cream, and we're there with our mom, our dad, our husband, our grandparent, and they reach over and they get the ketchup and they start putting it on their ice cream. And we say something like, "Oh my gosh, Grandma, what are you thinking? Stop putting ketchup on your ice cream. That's not right. We don't put..." And she either throws it at me, gives me one of these, curses at me, or says, "Don't yell at me. I didn't do anything wrong." What was wrong with her putting ketchup on her ice cream? We overreacted. We didn't have a response. We had a reaction and caused them to have a challenging behavior. Because their amygdala is still intact. We know that amygdala stays intact. And so they can pick up on our feelings, emotions, tone of voice, gestures. We might reach over and go, "Let me have some of that ketchup. That looks pretty good too." And we're taking it away. We're not making a big deal out of it. So much of this is our response. What are some things that might cause some unwanted behaviors? And again, then we're going to jump into these 4. Just being in a new environment can cause somebody to do something that maybe they have never done before. That's why whenever someone is placed, let's say they come to live at a place like us or in an assisted living or nursing home, we always tell families 28 to 30 days. It takes everybody 28 to 30 days to make or break a habit. That's for all of us. Well, that doesn't go away because a person has dementia. So give us that 28 to 30 days to settle in, for them to get to know the environment, for us to get to know them. But we may see some behaviors, challenging expressions, especially in those first 72 hours, because it's a change. Undiagnosed pain. We want to assess for that first. When somebody does something, when someone has especially a challenging behavior, maybe they hit, curse, kick, spit, push for the first time, let's check for undiagnosed pain. Now, can we say to somebody with dementia, "Are you in pain?" You know what they're probably going to say. No. No. And I've got a furrowed brow and a frown. I'm saying, "Yes, help me." Or no, curse word, because that's the words that are left. I'm saying, "Yes, help me." When they're having physical problems, when they have something like constipation, that urinary tract infection, it may come out as a behavior. When they're bored or lonely, we're going to really talk about that today. We approach them in a negative manner. Like I just said, they can still pick up. And even with these things on, They can still read our facial expressions and our tones. And then sundowning, where increased agitation later in the day. Some other possible causes for unwanted behaviors, just the inability to understand what we're asking them to do. Maybe 2 weeks ago, we could just tell mom or dad to go in there, go in there and get ready. We've got a doctor's appointment. Go ahead and go in there and get ready. And they could. And now we go in there and they're standing and they're looking. Or they're into something. Or they're sitting on the edge of the bed and they're rocking. I know I'm supposed to be doing something, but what am I supposed to be doing? And I hear my daughter getting mad at me. Or they're into everything because I know I'm supposed to be doing something, but what am I supposed to be doing? Can't process. We either gave them too much information or we didn't give them enough information. If somebody becomes overstimulated, we see this a lot around the holidays where we put up the tree and the lights and the music and there's all these people and we're dressed in these fun clothes and all of a sudden somebody has a challenging behavior because they're overstimulated. Or we get a lot of family around at one time, overstimulated. They'll pick up our moods. They'll mirror our moods. That's why we do our best to be up. That voice up and that smile on. And then, of course, part of the brain that controls impulse is going away. It's dying. That's also up here. We call it our filter. That part of our brain that says, don't say that, don't do that. Yes, say that. Yes, do that. It goes away. And they'll say and do things that they never would have said or done. They also may think that they are meeting those former obligations or responsibilities. If for 40 years I left the office at 5 o'clock and I'm in a assisted living or a nursing home or someplace where at 6 or 7 o'clock I start seeing people leave and they're getting their things, well, it's time for me to leave too. The workday's done. Circadian rhythm. So let's jump into wondering. Let's look at wondering and what goes on with it. There is never, ever a way to predict when somebody with dementia will wonder. And there's a typo in their car. It says either on foot or in their car. Now, I used to work for the Alzheimer's Association. I used to go in people's homes and I helped them stay home as long as possible. And I cannot tell you how many times families would say to me, Holly, she's been driving to Brahms for 20 years to get her breakfast biscuit. Never had a problem before. Until the day they didn't come back. I had 2 clients go missing during the 2 years I did the program there. Because one day they didn't come back and they drove until they ran out of gas. And grace of God, both of those were able to be returned safely. What happened that day that they just started driving? I don't know. There wasn't a way to predict it. Well, they've never wandered off before. They've never left the house before. Thank goodness. But what might make them do that? Here's a list of things here. Again, they may think it's time to go get the kids. It's time to go to work. Got to meet that former obligation. I'm in an unfamiliar environment. I've got to get home. Even though they're home, they're not looking for this home that they're in right now. They're looking for the home that they grew up in. They're looking for the home they lived in before this one. I'm looking for someplace that feels like home because this place is foreign to me now. So think about those triggers that might cause your loved one or your clients, residents, or patients to wonder. An example is a daycare participant in the day program. that walked constantly and wouldn't sit down. The only time that she would stop walking was if you danced with her. That's what she wanted to do, and that's what made her better. She wanted to dance. Otherwise, she was pacing, wondering, looking. But she couldn't tell you that she wanted to dance. So let's look at some of these statistics. 59% of the time, a person with dementia will get lost at some point. I hear it too many times in support group about going to Walmart and saying, I'll meet you at the front, or I'll meet you over near the milk, or I'll meet, and they aren't there, and they lose them in the store. I've had people lose a loved one in a parking lot because they typically wander away during a normal activity. Usually. The statistic is also that if they are not found within 24 hours, about 46% of them are going to die. Imagine those of you that are in Texas right now and we're having this kind of heat. If somebody walked away, the chances of them surviving in this. They also typically don't cry out for help or leave any kind of clues because they don't think they're lost. So why would they ask for help? They'll just keep walking. They'll just keep driving. If they are on foot, they usually travel less than 1/10 of a mile. And then here's something really interesting. Store this. They typically go in the direction of their dominant hand. Whenever we need to start looking, a person will typically, when they leave, they will turn in the direction of their dominant hand. If somebody's right-handed, they'll typically go to their right. So action plans. Searching that immediate area where the person was last seen, calling the police, telling the police when you call them. This is very important. And if you're in a big enough city, ask for a mental health officer. Make sure and tell them that the person is memory impaired and at risk, that they have a dementia diagnosis. Because when the police or when somebody in uniform approaches them, we don't know how they are going to react. Make sure you've got a recent photo of them and you know what they had on. There is a gentleman on YouTube who does updates about his mother's progress through dementia. And he said that every single morning he takes a picture of his mother so that he has a picture of her in the clothes that she has on that day. Every day. It's part of their routine. He just takes a picture of her every day. You cannot hand a police officer their driver's license from 14 years ago and say that's what they look like. Because they don't look like that anymore. None of us look like our driver's license. Because what if that's who they're looking for? And that is not what they look like. All of us have these cell phones now. Snap that recent picture. We're going to talk about a program called Medic Alert, Safe Return, and Comfort Zone. Stay by your phone, staying as calm as possible, calling hospital emergency rooms. And then when they are found, we inform the police and Medic Alert, Safe Return. If someone is wandering or pacing, we want to try to figure out why it is that they are doing that. Sometimes when a person is wandering, we don't need to intervene. And we'll talk about the difference in wandering and pacing. Sometimes they are bored and they need an activity. So if we can get them to join in and help us with something, because what we tend to want to do with our loved ones with dementia is say, go ahead and go in there and sit down and watch TV. I've got it. Because it's going to take us extra time. They need to feel like they are needed. They need to be wanted. They need to participate. They need to have a reason. And us continuing to say, go in there and sit down, just watch TV, go get into something. I'll find something to do because I know I'm supposed to be doing something. We may have them come in the kitchen and sit there and stir something that we're not even going to use. but they feel like they're helping us. They may be looking for the bathroom. They may be looking for their room. And it might not be you asking them, do you need to go to the bathroom? It may just be us going to the bathroom or putting a bathroom sign on the door, because they're going to recognize that sign for a long time. We learned bathroom signs when we were very, very little. We also want to offer finger foods, snacks, fluids to try to keep them from getting dehydrated. Interventions that we can do when somebody is wandering. Some things that we might try is putting a mirror on the door, because sometimes they'll see their own image and turn around because they don't recognize their own image, or they think that that's a person there and they'll turn around. We can also cover doors. We're going to watch a video in a minute where she has a great example of how to cover a door. Making sure that they are getting some exercise, even if they cannot get up and walk. Get one of those that's, it's like the pedal that sits on the table in front of them, and let them sit there and do that. Get 2 of them and do it with them so that they understand what to do, because they'll sit there and mirror it and do it with you. And then let them have safe places where they can wander, where they can go out in the yard, or where they have kind of a walking place in the house where they can walk around. While they can still read and comprehend, now keep this in mind also, they're going to be able to read longer than they can comprehend. So there's going to come a time that they'll read the word bathroom, but they will not comprehend bathroom. That's why we might use a sign like you see in a restaurant for the bathroom door. They're going to understand that longer. Also putting stop signs on doors, because we understand that stop sign. We learned a stop sign when we were very, very little. We know what that means. They're also, in this video we're going to watch, they're going to give the idea of putting a black mat in front of a door, because sometimes a person with dementia will see that as a hole, a black mat, and they won't try to step over that. Here's some information on Medic Alert and Safe Return. It is a bracelet or a necklace that you can get, and we actually have the phone number, the address, all the information is on here. And again, you're going to get this. It also has a website where you can sign up for Medic Alert and Safe Return. There are also GPS shoes that you can purchase now. You can go to Amazon and put in GPS shoes. They used to be a whole lot more expensive than they are now. They've really come down, and it has a tracker in the heel. Okay, here's that video I was telling you about, and this is on wandering. And I may have to reshare. No, there it is. It's coming up. Jamie, let me know that you can hear this.
My father's been living with me for 2 years. He started wandering in the house, trying to go out the front door, saying he wants to go home. Oh, why is that happening? And I don't know what to do to stop it. Stop, Dad! You can't go out.
I'm gonna go home.
This is your home.
No, I'm going to my house.
This is your home. Stop.
Wandering can occur as dementia progresses. It can be triggered by someone reliving an old memory, not recognizing where they are, or by a feeling of distress. People with dementia have less ability to communicate or explain where they're going or why they want to go somewhere. Wandering can be triggered by seeing things that signal leaving, such as the front door, purses, keys, or coats. If someone is wandering, approach them in a calm and reassuring manner. Ask them where they're going or what they need, and then distract them with a new activity.
Dad, where are you going?
I want to go home.
You are home.
No, I want to go home. The kids need me.
This is your home. See, here's a family picture. There's me and there's Tom.
But where are the kids?
I'm right here, Dad. I'm your daughter, Jane. And Tom, your son, he just lives 5 minutes away. Let's all give him a call on the phone and say hello.
Oh, that sounds nice, honey.
Okay, come on.
Wandering can still happen, even if you're the most diligent of caregivers. Use the following tips to help lower the chances of wandering. Use a calm tone of voice and ask your loved one where he's going or who he's looking for. Reassure him that he's home, point out familiar things around him, and then immediately distract him with a pleasant activity to allow him to forget his urge to wander. Disguise the door by painting it the same color as the wall or covering it with a large poster or picture. Murals for doors could be purchased on the internet. Cover the doorknob with a drape. Try placing a black doormat in front of the door. Some patients will avoid crossing the mat. Put signs on doors to discourage leaving, such as stop signs, do not enter, or keep out. Make sure your loved one is getting enough exercise. The urge to wander could be a result of unspent energy. Ask if he has any needs. He might be wandering because he feels physical discomfort or stress. Be specific. Ask if he would like a sandwich or some coffee, or if he needs to use the bathroom. Do not leave coats, hats, or keys in plain sight or by the front door, as they can trigger the urge to leave.
Great tips in that. And you saw the coat, the purse, the wallet, the keys near the door triggered, it's time to go. And then she had that door covered completely. You couldn't see the window or the doorknob. So also a really good idea. Okay, let's get to rummaging. Sometimes rummaging will be called seeking. Sometimes we call it shopping. And what it is most of the time is a coping mechanism. And it's when their speech or their comprehension, their communication skills have declined. So they find other ways to interact. They find other ways to communicate. So they may not be able to say they're hungry, but they just start to look. They just start to go through things. They don't even go to the refrigerator. They may be in the bedroom going through a drawer, and you go and ask them, are they hungry? And they say, no. No was one of the very first words that we learned. And it stays with most everybody all the way till end of life. But if we bring them a sandwich, we bring them a cookie, we bring them some ice cream, we bring them a drink, they'll take it. Or we leave it nearby, they'll take it. If they are looking for something lost, we can use terms like tell me about it. Tell me more about those keys. What did they look like? And help them look for it until we can get them distracted. Person with dementia can only have one thought at a time. That's why we become the masters of distraction. Food, music, animals, children. Those four are the 4 ways that most people can be distracted in some way or another. Food, music, animals, and children. They may be bored, they may be nervous, and they may be feeling like they need to be in control. If you look at this hierarchy of needs, if they're rummaging through drawers and closets, or maybe even moving furniture around, it might be reminding them of things that they did in the past. They may be cleaning, they may be working, but look at that very, very bottom. Some of our needs, we've got to make sure, especially the food, the water, the sleep, making sure that they are going to the bathroom, And then if you look up at safety where it says security of body, security of employment, security of resources, that goes back to what we talked about earlier. I need to have a place where I belong. And if you keep telling me to just sit here and look at that TV, that's why so many folks with dementia will do well in a day program. Even when families don't think they'll do well, getting out with other people and being able to socialize, because an awful lot of people who come to the day program think they're coming to work because they come at the same time every day and they have something to do, and we give them a job. They fold clothes, they help set the table, they may even be sweeping. They have something to do, they have a reason. So rummaging interventions. First thing we want to do is look to see, are their basic needs being met? That's where we can ask for help. I need your help with, especially things like chores, folding these clothes, sorting these brochures. I used to have a laundry basket full of brochures that I would take and dump out on the table, and it was made lots of my teachers. A lot of the teachers would and they would sort those brochures for me, and darned if the next day they weren't all messed up again, and they'd sort them for me again. Sorting and folding, setting tables. Sometimes we may get out dominoes or cards or game pieces, and what they're needing to do is be busy sorting. We have some students here, and last week, one of the students for an activity brought up some baby food jars of nuts and bolts and screws and things like that, and it was a huge hit. The gentlemen were sitting and they were just screwing them on, putting them back and forth, and then sorting them into these baby food jars. They did it for a couple of hours. You can create a rummage box in a safe place with safe items for them to rummage in. I have even seen rummage rooms where somebody in their home created a whole room, like a guest room or an extra room, where there wasn't anything in there that they could break, or if something in there went missing, it wasn't any big deal, and it kind of became their rummage room. They called it that. If they have things from their past, so you see there that's down near the bottom, second to last bullet point, themed boxes with sewing, tools, costume, jewelry, pictures. Now, again, things that you don't mind if they are put in the trash or if they tear them or something, but just things to rummage in. Also getting sensory boxes or sensory items, and you can find a lot of sensory items online. We're going to watch a short video on rummaging, do's and don'ts of rummaging.
Why do people with Alzheimer's disease rummage? This behavior is disruptive and frustrating. In this video, you will learn the causes of this behavior and strategies to cope with the situation. What is rummage in Alzheimer's disease? At some point, many people with Alzheimer's disease or other dementias start to rummage. They may regularly dig through cupboards, drawers, closets, the refrigerator, and other storage areas. They may move things around and hide them in unexpected places. This behavior can be annoying or even dangerous. It frequently causes headaches for the caregiver or family members. The patient may get quite upset if they cannot find their misplaced items. However, no matter how disruptive it is, we need to remember that this is a symptom of Alzheimer's. The person is not doing it to annoy you. With the right mindset and deeper understanding, we can respond without escalating the situation, making life easier and less stressful. What causes rummaging behavior among people with Alzheimer's and other dementia? Here are the top 5 reasons a person with Alzheimer's rummage. Alzheimer's patient has poor memory and reasoning skills. The person might be confused and start doing random things. The person might be hungry and looking for food. The person is looking for something specific but cannot tell what it is. the person might be bored and try to do something useful. Trying to stop the behavior without addressing the underlying issue would only make the person angry. Instead, we should explore the causes and respond to the situation accordingly to foster a caring relationship. 7 tips to deal with rummaging behavior in dementia patients. 1. Avoid injury and poisoning. Seniors with Alzheimer's or other dementia have poor judgment and sensation. They might not see the sharpness of a knife or feel the pain of a cut. They may not taste the food spoiled or take detergent as drinks. Here are some suggestions to deal with the situation. Remove and lock potentially dangerous objects, such as knives, guns, laundry detergents, gas, etc. Check the fridge regularly and remove spoiled food or drinks. Keep other edible or non-edible items locked, such as salt, cooking oil, soda powder, and so on. 2. Arrange routine activities and relieve boredom. It is always good to offer the person with Alzheimer's routine daily activities. Keep them engaged and busy so they don't have time for disruptive behavior. Ideas for activities are adult day programs, friend or family visits, easy puzzles, caring for dolls, etc. 3. Make things easier to find. A person with rummaging behavior might be looking for something specific. It is helpful to arrange items in ways easy to find. Sort personal items into groups, store them in designated drawers or boxes and label them. Use clear containers so you can see items without opening them. Keep personal items to the minimum. Too many items are confusing for a person with Alzheimer's. 4. Turn rummage into productive activity. Ask the person to help you fold clothes, prep veggies, or wash dishes. Their energy is redirected to more productive activity. 5. Keep critical documents and valuables safe. Keep jewelry, essential documents, checkbooks in a safe or locked box. If the person keeps throwing away mails, consider using a locked mailbox or post office box. 6. Join them if you can't beat them. If all else fails, then you might as well let them do it. Designate a room or small area as a rummage area. Place all favorite items of the patient there. Set it up in a way they can rummage freely and safely, without worries of losing things. 7. Forbidden area. Sometimes it is better to keep certain areas off limits. For example, lock all unused rooms and keep trash cans hidden. It is also good to identify their favorite hiding places and check them regularly. Hopefully, the above tips will help keep the disruption of rummage to a minimum. You and the person with Alzheimer's can enjoy a more productive and caring relationship. A quick reminder, this video is for information only. Please.
So if you haven't thought of having either a rummage room might be asking too much, but having rummage boxes that are specific for them to rummage through, might try it. It's a great idea. All right, let's talk about hoarding. This could also be collecting or saving. And you notice the pictures I have on there. Those of you who work in the field, or if you've got a loved one who has dementia, know there is something about Sweet and Low. They love the pink packets. Those pink packets will go right down in their bra, and those tissues rolled up in the sleeves, put in all their pockets. Those are some of the things we love to hoard, but it could be anything. Had a gentleman who used to go around and take all the silverware off the table, put them right down in his pants. And then he would take them and he'd put them under all the pillows in all of the different rooms. Did it every day until he didn't. It was just a expression or behavior that he was having during that time. Condiment packets. It could be anything. They may carry them around all day. Had a person who wanted Pepsis. He called them pens, but he would get all these cans of Pepsis and carry them around, put them all over his room, never opened them. Did it day after day after day. We'd go in there and get them at night. So that's what we can do. We can go in when they're asleep and clean some things out, come back and he'd get them again until he didn't. Stop doing it. Don't attempt to take the objects away unless it is something dangerous. It is okay. It might be bothering us, but if it's not something dangerous, let them have the items. We are going to get those items after they go to bed at night, when they're in the bathroom. But again, most of the time, we can just get those things after they go to bed. Now, what if they're packing? Packing bags is very common, especially in the evening, especially if somebody has some sundowning going on, because they're packing all their stuff up because it's time to go home. And they may do this even if they are home. Their mind could be confusing all of the homes that they've had over a lifetime. And think about what's happening with dementia. That theory of retrogenesis, if you've never seen this or heard about it, theory of retrogenesis, where they are going back in time. So if I am 87, but I think I'm 40, then this may not be the home that I lived in. And it's time to go home, and there's a bag, or there's a suitcase, or there's a box. Many times home is a feeling. Is the place where they are currently, does it feel like home? What are some things we can do? Now, some of you may have seen this before. You see that gentleman, he's got himself everything he owns like in a sheet. And that's something we'll see also, where people just put a sheet out and put all their stuff in it and throw it over their back or put it in a wheelchair. And here we go, about 6 o'clock in the evening, 5 or 6 in the evening, looking for home. Tell me more about your home. Talk to them about home. This might also give you an idea of what they're looking for. What was your favorite thing to do at home? What's your favorite room in your house? Who all lives at that house? Go with the flow. You know what this is called. This is validation therapy. We're not trying to correct them. We're validating their feelings, regardless of what their feelings are. We just validate them. Tell me more. We can use things like tell me and show me. But we can also remove those triggers. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. We do not want to have shoes, purses, keys, coats near doors, because that's going to trigger it's time to leave. Get rid of the luggage. I know that whenever people move in, we always ask families, take luggage, take bags, take anything that could be used to pack. Also, what are they seeing out their window? Could something outside the window be triggering them? Move the car out of eyesight. Sometimes that's all it takes, is moving the car. We unpack everything when they're asleep. Don't bring it up again. All of these expressions, all of these behaviors, they will pass. They're part of the stage that they're in right now. Sometimes it can seem like it's never going to stop, but just like with all of the other behaviors that they've had, they will pass. You can also do things like ask them to help you before they leave. So what are you trying to do in that instance? You're trying to switch them over to something else, because they can only have one thought at a time. I'm not saying that you can't leave. I used to have a gentleman who thought he was going to get the door off of the date program pretty regularly because it was time to go and he was going to take that door off of the hinges. I never told him he couldn't take the door off the hinges. I just needed his help before he took the door off the hinges. And he always wanted to help me, but that would get him distracted over, and then that was gone. Sometimes we do have to go. We have to actually get in the car and we have to go to distract them. We might take a drive. We might take a walk. We run up to Sonic. We go to Brahms. We get some ice cream, makes things better. And then we come home together and they reset. Some other steps that we can do. Redirection. And here's those 4 things that I talked about earlier. Redirecting somebody with dementia. Most people with dementia are going to start to lose their taste, except for sweet. Taste are changing, but sweet stays. That's why you will see us take sugar packets and put it on mashed potatoes. Taking that sugar packet and putting it on might not look great to us, but if they will eat, because there's going to come a time where that part of the brain that's supposed to tell the body to metabolize the food doesn't work anymore. And they're going to start losing weight. This is the one disease they can have a little bit of extra weight on them. Until they become a 2-person assist, we're not really going to get that upset about somebody who's wanting to have a lot of sweets. They're going to crave sweets because they can taste sweets. Music is on there as well. Now, when I talk about music, I'm talking about their music, not talking about our music. We want to make sure and play them their music. We all have a music set, and our music set, when you study music therapy, is typically our music that we listen to between the ages of 10 and 25. So if you can think back to what you were listening to between 10 and 25, that's probably going to be the music that you're going to want at some point later in your life. And then you see there children and animals. If you don't have real children, if you don't have real animals, they make robotic pets that are made specifically for people with dementia. You can find those online. But we have this wonderful thing now called YouTube. And if you go to YouTube and you type in babies laughing, and you bring that up on the TV, or you bring that up on a big enough screen that they can see it. These cell phones, these screens usually are not big enough for them to see because their vision is starting to narrow. It's amazing what you'll see happen. And you can also type in baby animals falling down. That's a good one. Little ducks falling off the curb. And then you hit next, and there's little goats that are just starting to walk. And you'll find yourself sitting there next. Get some ice cream while you're doing that. Great intervention. Other interventions that we use just for all behaviors or expressions. We're not going to argue with somebody with dementia. They can't be reasonable or rational. If they could, they would. We've got to use validation therapy. Even if it is something like, you're the one that took all my money. Okay becomes our favorite word. I'm going to call the bank and get that fixed. And then I pick up the phone and I call the bank. Now I'm not calling the bank. I'm calling nobody, or if I'm on my desk phone, I'm calling my cell phone. Offering that food. Changing the environment also is important. If we're starting to have a challenging behavior right here, we need to get moved over to that other room or to another area, or they're going to loop, because they will loop back. And some people's loop is 5 seconds, some people's loop is 20 seconds, but they will come back if we don't get them redirected. Watch our own body language, tone of voice, emotions, and facial expressions. We talked about validate their emotions. That is called validation therapy. And then also making sure that we are taking care of ourselves. Keep in mind, all behavior does have a purpose. Sometimes we've just got to be a detective to figure out what it is. We cannot change the person, but we can determine that unmet need and we can accommodate it. And then we can change how we respond rather than react to challenging behaviors. Here's some more of our information. I have left some time to see if we have some questions. It does look like we have a few things in the chat. You can always contact me or Jamie here at the West Center to either talk through any situation that you might have going on, to talk about programs that you might need where you are or where you work. But let me stop sharing. Jamie, was there anything in the chat that we needed to address or talk about? Or does anybody have anything you want to put in the chat?
And I'll just say a reminder, the follow-up email will go out this afternoon. So you'll get a copy of the slides, a recording of the program, and I'll include the links for both of the videos that were in the program. So y'all can, it'll be in the email. So y'all can just click on those and have those videos at your access. And then of course, we'll let you know about our upcoming programs as well.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. And someone did just ask, does short-term memory loss mean that a senior will experience dementia? Okay, keep in mind, there is no memory loss that is normal to aging. There is not age-related memory loss. Even though commercials tell us that there's not age-related memory loss. There is age-related slowing down, but there's not age-related memory loss. There's a reason for the memory loss. But not all memory loss is dementia. Dementia does not mean memory loss. So there are other reasons that somebody might have memory loss. So we want to start with the primary care physician, because it could be an electrolyte imbalance, a vitamin deficiency, a thyroid disorder. They're malnourished. They're very depressed. There are many things that cause memory loss that can be treated. That is not dementia. The type of dementia that we are dealing with is permanent, progressive. So you always start with primary care physician. So no, just memory loss itself does not mean that that person has dementia, because there's so much more to dementia than just memory loss. Dementia actually has about 36 symptoms. Not everybody's going to get them all.
Can I ask a clarifying question? I'm sorry, Holly. My name is Sherry. I was the person that asked that question. So I think my mom is just turned 81. Now, there are reasons that she has short-term memory loss, but she's convinced, because she's experiencing short-term memory loss at 81, that she's convinced that she's going to progress into full-blown dementia. And from the little bit that I know, that I don't think that's accurate, but is there a way that I can help her help her understand that? Or there just certain facts? I mean, maybe this presentation, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just trying to help her get out of fear, because she's convinced, she's certain of it. She's very fearful.
I think that I would probably use the doctor or the nurse or a nurse practitioner as a resource, especially if she has a reason for having some memory loss, and maybe even have them write it on a prescription pad. Like, your short-term memory loss is because you have a thyroid disorder, or you have a vitamin deficiency, or because you have. Now, that type of memory loss should be reversible. If it is something that's permanent, then we are talking about a progressive dementia. So any of those that I'm talking about, where it is a thyroid disorder, or it's depression, or it's a vitamin deficiency, those are reversible when we treat the cause of the memory loss. So if it is truly one of those things, then it should be able to be treated.
Holly, there was a comment in chat about really, I'm just getting exhausted by always putting my loved one and his behaviors ahead of me and my needs, and asking for coping strategies. And I do just want to point, or just say, in September, we have a evidence-based program that we're going to start. It's a 9-week series. It's called Stress Busters for family caregivers of persons with dementia. And it's 9 weeks of talking about coping strategies, how to problem solve, how to reduce your stress, and for how to be successful and healthy at this caregiving thing. But I just wanted to throw that out there and turn it back to Holly.
Great. We not only have that 9-week on Stress Busters, but we also have our 6-week caregiver education class that's starting in September as well. So we have all of that coming up. One of the things, though, to think about, if you are taking care of someone at home, this is how I used to help families decide, when is it time to place? That's one of the big questions. When is it time to place? Safety is number one. Now, there's 2 different kinds of safety. There's physical safety of the person with dementia and of yourself. Because if I'm trying to help my husband in the shower every day, and he's bigger than I am, and he falls over on me, and now I've got a broken hip, and my kids now are having to place me and him, that's physical safety. But there's also emotional safety. When it gets to the point that people are coming to support groups saying things like, I am going crazy, I am losing my mind, I feel like my entire identity has become caregiver, many times that's how we know it's time to place, where we let someone else be the caregiver and you get back to being the wife, the husband, the daughter, the son. You're doing the job of, we've got 168 staff members here. And if you're taking care of somebody, you're doing the work of all those people by yourself, and you don't get to clock in and out. 24/7. Somebody did ask a question about our support groups. We do have, and I'll go over that very quickly, and then we'll send you all of this as well. And yes, we'll send you the information about the 6-week and the 9-week course, Jamie. We can do that in the email.
I will, you will get it. It may not be in the follow-up email, but you will get it. I promise.
Okay. Jamie will get it to you. Let me just go over the support groups real quick, and then you can email me with any other questions that you've got. Support groups, Wednesdays at 1, that group meets weekly and it is online. Open group. All of our groups are open. Fridays at 11 are in person here at the West Center in the chapel. So Fridays at 11 are in person. Then the second Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock, we have a group that's online. Second Tuesday at 6 o'clock. It meets from 6 to 7. And then I have a very special group that meets the second Saturday of each month. Clever name, second Saturday support group. And it meets from 10:30 to 12. And that one focuses on grief. The grief that we are all going through when we have someone that we love with dementia. That doesn't mean that our loved one has died, because grief just means we are going through loss, and we're going through loss every day. So that group meets once a month for 90 minutes, and it's online as well. And we'll get you more information about those programs. Someone asked where the West Center is. We are downtown Fort Worth. We're at the corner of Summit and Lancaster, 1111 Summit. Thanks everybody for your time. We've had some great questions. Again, if we did not get, yes, you can share. Yes, you can share our information. We want you to share things. We just ask that you leave our information on our slides. But absolutely pass this on, share it with professionals, share it with family members. That's what we're here for. We've got a YouTube channel as well with a lot of our recorded programs on there, 30-minute and hour-long programs. So contact us if you need any help, email us and give us a call. We appreciate y'all being here today. Yes, you can print the slides. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.